What's going on, you guys? It's Keinan Briggs, sports consultant and mentor. And I was asked this question, and as I thought about it, I kept thinking about it and kept thinking about it. And I realized I really want to answer this question. Why don't athletes excel at the collegiate level? And also, how come high school athlete success isn't translating to the college level? So I'm going to answer the second question first because I feel like it's pretty easy. The reason why some of the athletes' success isn't translating over to the college level is because the success is regional. It's in the area versus the national level for college is on a USA scale. So for example, there was an athlete who messaged me, I think she was in Connecticut somewhere, and she was a 3-time state champion, did really well, and was asking me, how do I get college offers? I haven't gotten any yet. Then I was like, well, what are your marks? And then one mark that stood out the most was she was a 36-foot triple jumper, which is a good mark. However, it's not what Division I universities are looking for. So I put it in perspective. I said, there was one year at Mater Dei where I had a 36-foot triple jumper, I believe a 37, and then I had a 40-foot triple jumper and a 41. This is all high school girls on the same team. And I said to her, you're competing against that. So it's not that you're not good because you're the state champion, you're the state's best. However, you're also competing at the national level with your marks. So if you want to get consideration for Division I, is you have to be nationally good. And especially if you're looking for financial consideration, you got to be the best of the best. So the reason why it's not translating is because you're not competing against the same type of talent. When you get to university level, you're competing against the best of the elite. So literally it's not translating because it doesn't translate because it's not the same thing. All right, so now back to the original question, the one that I'm super excited to talk about. How come athletes are not excelling at the collegiate level? Now, we as Americans, we always want to blame someone, and this is the best way I can break it down. Now, there are 3 different areas to actually blame. 1 are the coaches. 2 are the athletes. 3 is the system. These are the 3 reasons why, or the contributors to this. And they're actually all together, they're not separate, but I'm gonna go over some of the things that I think is the most important. So when it comes to the coaches are to blame because the coaches aren't educated enough. And here's what I mean. Let's say you have a coach who was a Division I athlete, competed for the school. Now the job opening opens up, that athlete applies and gets the job. The athlete did everything right. Their whole career, they were super athletic, they were talented, naturally gifted, but they never learned step by step how to be really good. They just already were. Well, now you have a group of athletes that are yours to develop, and you've never been asked or told step by step, how do I improve? So then how are you going to tell these athletes how they should improve, right? It's a huge part of management. So now you have these qualified coaches on paper, right, that are great at what they do because they did it. However, just because you're a great athlete doesn't mean you're a great coach. And the coaches who are hearing this are saying, yep, right? And I'm not saying that there can't be great coaches and athletes, because there are as well. But from my experience, there's a difference. Professional coaches and professional athletes are 2 different levels. And as you balance both, you're going to find a sweet spot, which I feel that I've been able to develop into over the past 17 seasons of coaching. When you have these coaches that aren't as educated, now they have the experience as an athlete, but not as a coach, and they're developing, which takes them some time. Now, as it takes them time, what happens is the athletes are the guinea pig in trying things out. There's been many coaches where they get these top level D1 coaching positions, and they've never coached before, right? Or never coached at this level. And it just takes time. So the coaches aren't as knowledgeable at the moment. Then from there, because you have some great coaches, they end up getting the position for a head coaching job. You have a great assistant that does a great job with their athletes, then they get a head coaching job somewhere. Well, an assistant coaching job is not the same as a head coaching job. Completely different. It's completely not attached to the athletes because they're so busy with paperwork, administrative stuff, emails, and etc. So now you have the real coach who can't work with them. So that coach then hires an assistant, right? That assistant comes in, is not as knowledgeable or experienced, let's just say. And then you have that coach who finally does get experience and then bumps over to a new spot to become a head coach. Well, the problem with that is that's lack of consistency, which essentially hurts the athlete again. So for example, I had a couple athletes that went to these universities, and those universities, their coaching staff changed as they went. And one extreme is one of my athletes actually experienced one coach every year, and that athlete was at the institution for 5 years. So this person had a 5-year duration at the school, and every single year that athlete had a new coach. That's another reason why, because there's no synergy, there's no rapport, there's no connection between the athlete, the program, and etc. Now the next part to look at is the athletes. Why is it the athlete's fault? Well, the first reason is because a lot of these athletes are choosing schools because they want to brag about the name of the school. Oh, I'm going to and I'm committed to big name university. I didn't want to go to small name Middle America University, which actually has the best program, the best development. I don't want that because I want to have my name on the TV screen and I want to be seen at a national level. Well, when they say yes to that, they don't know what they're saying yes to. Right? They might get to this program and now they're expected to be at a very high level and the pressure is too much for them. Maybe they want to be on the big screen, however, the big screen isn't all that it's made out to be, right? Or maybe they moved from a cold state to a very hot state, or a very popular state to a very not as popular state. And what happens to the athlete is they're going to have this change, right? And as the athletes have this change, then they may not be used to it or like it. Now they're frustrated with what's going on around them, and it's just like, I'm not excited about the sport because I made a decision to fly halfway across the country to a school and program that actually doesn't want me, and I don't want to be here. And I should have went to the other school that I really wanted to go to, but it didn't seem as cool when I announced it. Right? The other part of it is, did you educate yourself on learning about what the school offers, how they're going to help you excel on and off the track? A lot of these elements, these athletes, student athletes, don't understand or don't do the education. So it's very important to really dive in and get a sports consultant that can educate you on what to expect, how to plan, how to choose the right school for you, and move from there. Also, another part is you have athletes that do really, really well at the high school level. They get to this college and all of a sudden they feel like I should be given all these things. I deserve a full scholarship. I deserve all this money because I was a state champion at the smallest state in the United States, and I was a 5-time state champion, and I only ran against 5 people. It's like you haven't measured up. You haven't done anything yet. You got to earn it. And as good as you are, that's great, but you're a freshman and you haven't done anything yet at this national level. So my biggest thing is stop feeling entitled. Stop treating people like you deserve all these things under the sun. You're just not good yet. You haven't shown the work. You haven't shown the success. You haven't shown the reason why we, the institution, should pay you the numbers of a full scholarship. Then you also have the other part, which is, coach, you're showing me these new workouts, and the ones I did before made me really, really fast and really good. That's great. However, your body's mature now. Your body's different. We're working on different things. Well, let me go on Instagram or YouTube, and I'm looking up and I'm seeing this other coach who has 10,000 followers and he has 1,000 likes and shares, and this coach is doing this and it looks really fun. Leave that coach alone, because the coach that you're with is the one that is doing things for you that is to help you. All right. Talk to that coach, understand his or her philosophy and how many years it's going to take for you to understand that philosophy and develop. So be patient. The reason why you're not succeeding is because of you. You are in your own way. Now, the next thing to look at is the system. The system is to blame. So you go to university and they say, all right, our concept is the way we make you better on the track is by getting stronger and faster. So stronger, weight room, right? Get to the weight room. And the weight room has a one-size-fits-all sports type of mentality. Well, the strength coach was designed and hired by the football team. Now the track and field team comes in, and the football strength coach, or the main strength coach, trains the track team on a variation of that same football program. Well, now you have girls that are lifting weights like men. You have boys that are lifting weights like men. And you have certain movements that are doing too much. Some coaches like to pair up exercises with, let's go ahead and do some jump squats after you finish doing a heavy squat. Well, that's great. The problem is when you're a jumper, don't jump the athletes because they just came from a jump practice or they're going to go to a jump practice. There was one strength coach that I love, and he came out and said, I don't know the jumps specifically, and I'm familiar with track, but I didn't do the jumps. So let me see what you do before I start training your athletes and teaching them movements that they need to do correctly in the weight room, so I can teach them correctly while knowing what you do right here. And that simple conversation was great because we were able to mesh and say, okay, this is what I do. He said, I'm going to take these two things out because you do them already. And now let's work on some other things that can supplement your training, and that back and forth thing was great. Now, a lot of strength coaches do that. However, I'm just speaking on a broad term. The other thing is a concept of drop and replace. Well, this is kind of how sports is, right? And it's normal. Athlete gets hurt, replace them, next person comes in. Well, there's so many athletes at their disposal. If you're not competing at a high level, if you're not doing well, guess what? The next person comes in. Right? So the reason why some of these athletes aren't developing is because the system is just replacing the next athlete. If you can't do it, somebody else will, versus staying and sticking with it. This may take 3 years to develop you, but we're going to stick with it and keep it going. But no, the program has to win depending on the program. The program has always won. If you're not going to help us win, next person comes into play. And that pushes to where only a couple athletes can succeed because the other ones aren't developing how they should. Now, with all that being said, let's talk about the other side of things, the solutions. So when it comes to these solutions for coaches, one is just simply create more ways to educate young coaches. So for example, I've created a new coaches orientation shown right here. Clicking on that, paying for that course will plant the seed of what are some things that you love to do, some of your strengths, some of your weaknesses, things that help you identify who you are as a coach, your method, your philosophy, your style, identifying all these things. So when you get into coaching, you have this brand or this philosophy already set, and now you can move forward with that. If it works, great. If it doesn't, now you know that that one plan that you had didn't work, and you can fine tune that specific plan versus just jump into the program. The other thing is making sure you're educated with USATF education. If CSCS were to create a program that isn't just sports specific, it's actually event specific. So maybe it's football lineman specific training. Now, they may have this already, but just continue doing that. And if you don't know about it, then get more information about it. Now, when it comes to the athletes, what are some solutions the athletes should do? I said it before, hire a sports consultant and mentors, educate yourself on what's expected, talk to the coaches, ask the coach, are they going to be around for the next 4 or 5 years? Are they going to support you? How are they going to use you in their program? These are all things that I ask in my college exposure crash course and a couple other courses, so make sure you check those out as well. And the last thing is the system. I'm going to make this very simple, all right? Because I'm very passionate about this last one. You show up to a park. At the park, there's typically grass where soccer or football is held. There's a basketball court. There's usually a softball or baseball field, and the kids play and do whatever they do, which is great. However, there's no tracks, right? If you show up to a park, you can rent the basketball court and have a basketball league held there, and the court rental is usually $25 or so. Then you show up to a indoor basketball facility, right? Rent out the court it's probably going to cost you $65 or whatever per hour. Now you show up to a track. Well, where are the tracks? There aren't any. The tracks are owned by the school district, and the track happens to be sitting on a school campus. So now even if you do want to use the track, you have to work outside of the school campus hours. You also have to work out of and understanding that the school district has their own regulations, policies, and requirements for that. Very, very hard to find all these specifics. Then the last thing is when you do finally have those things accomplished, it costs $3,000 to rent the facility. Basketball court, $25. Track and field, $3,000. Doesn't make any sense. The reason why athletes aren't excelling at the college level is because there's not enough kids running in track and field at the youth and higher levels and transferring into the next levels. Because there's more sports, but the reason why there's more sports available is because there's more field space, there's more teams available. Let's make that change today, all right? And I'm working on things of my own to get that to happen. But in the meantime, now that I've said it, please let that sink in. We need to create more public facilities that we can compete and create more at. If you listen to this whole thing, thank you. I appreciate you for being here. Please make sure you visit my Anchor page. It's a new page where I have all my information, the services that I offer, the workshops for athletes, parents, and coaches. Check that out. And if you have any more questions about this, comment them below. If you have opinions to debate what I'm talking about, please share it, because I would love to hear your insight, your perspectives, because all it's going to do is help me educate myself more about your perspective and other ways that we can make these athletes live a life of peace, love, and abundance. Till next time.